Hello everyone, I'm Emma and I'm your storyteller for today. Today's story is called Horace, the Hairy Electric Spider, and this is chapter 3. Horace shot back in horror. What was this scuttly, gribbly, chasey thing? The little girl's description of other spiders must have rubbed off on him. "What you looking at?" said the spider to Horace. Horace looked about him and then back at the spider as he realised the spider was talking to him. Horace didn't say anything. He wasn't entirely sure he could speak, as he'd never heard himself say anything out loud before, only in his own head, and all his thoughts were also bumbled up with cotton wool, so he often wasn't entirely clear on most of those. "I said, what you looking at?" said the spider, now advancing his way towards Horace. Horace was equally retreating. He didn't much like the look of this spider, who was now getting closer and thrusting something at him. It was a long, pointed stick of some kind, and as the spider got closer, Horace realised it was a cane. It appeared this spider was in fact a gentle spider, and more refined than the average house spider, for he carried a walking cane and wore a top hat, and as he drew closer, Horace saw he also wore a waistcoat, from which he duly stopped, withdrew his pocket watch, and checked the time. By now, Horace had backed himself into the corner of the windowsill, and still at this point did not realise a spider could climb, so he was stuck. He tried to speak. He gave a little cough, and then another, and out popped a bit of fluff. And then he tried again. "Ahem," he said, finally clearing his throat. Hello," he said, sounding more like a question than a statement. "Is that all you got to say for yourself, then?" said the spider, remarkably unimpressed. "You come here with all that sparkly jazz, and you don't even have the first clue what you are, do ya? Here, lads, have a look at this. He's all fluff and nonsense, nothing to be afraid of." And the spider started laughing. Horace was most confused. This wasn't the best reaction to his first ever spoken word. Horace looked on, squeezing himself smaller as he now saw several sets of legs scuttling into view, all creeping towards him as if to take a closer look. It transpired the first spider was the leader, and as he scuttled about this way and that, he was pointing here and there, using his cane to point out various features of Horace to his friends, and so he pointed and laughed and said something, and then pointed and laughed again. Horace was not enjoying being poked at and talked about and laughed in this way, and he felt himself crouching further down still. "And where do you think you're going?" said one of the newer spiders. "Shall we stop him, boss?" said another. Neither were anywhere near as well dressed as the leader. They were just adorned with lowly flat caps, and they moved in a sneakier, more scuttly way, stopping and then darting forward, and then stopping again as if trying to hug the shadows. No need, boys," said the leader. Horace didn't know his name, only the others seemed to call him Boss. Perhaps Boss is his name, he thought. "This fellow ain't got a clue. Look at him. Bet he don't even know he can climb." And he started chuckling again, making Horace feel very uncomfortable indeed. Quite what climbing was, Horace wasn't sure. "Fat little good this one's going to be. Only thing he's useful for is a disco ball." And with that, the sound of footsteps began their way up the stairs. Horace really wasn't sure he liked the sound of being used as a disco ball, whatever that was, but before he could suffer any more, the thud of footsteps came closer, and the spiders scuttled off with pace. "Look lively, lads," said the boss. "Meet again tonight, usual place." And they all scampered away, just as fast as they had appeared. Poor Horace was left feeling quite sorry for himself after this meeting with the other spiders. He couldn't understand why anyone would need to be so mean, especially when they looked sort of the same as him. If anything, he'd have thought they'd be his friends, not unkind, as if his enemies. All the same, Horace had learned something. He could speak, and that served as a useful distraction for the rest of the afternoon. He had a feeling it wasn't a good idea to practice speaking while anyone else could listen, and so he resolved he would wait until it was night and everyone was asleep, which was just as well, as the little girl came to play with Horace shortly after, and I'm not sure what she would have made of it had her toy spider suddenly started speaking. That was the end of tonight's chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Sleep tight. See you soon.